Empire
City Transmission.
Hello, everybody. What is up? And welcome back to another episode of Empire City Transmissions. I'm your host today, Liam, SL25524. And actually, I have a wonderful guest here with me today. Now, James, correct me if I'm wrong. Have you ever been on the podcast before?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so this is actually my first time being host. So it's your first time being on the podcast. It's my first time being host. I've only ever been co-host before. So this is
a very special episode.
It's an extremely special episode. We got two firsts in this episode. So you are a very active trooper. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Why don't you tell us, it could be, 501st related, just, about yourself, anything you want. I'm opening the floor to you.
Okay, well, thank you for having me on the show, first off, Liam. Just for anyone out there who doesn't know who I am, I'm James Devine. My ID number is TI76500. I started with the 501st really, really young. It first made an impression on me from the after effects of what I know to be a very old troop. I don't know which chapter this was, but I know that there was a chapter of the 501st that went to the Rose Parade. And when I was a kid, all of my sudden, my mother comes in with this newspaper. I grew up in Chicago, so it's the Chicago Tribune. And in this big picture is just a picture of these like legion of stormtroopers marching down on the Rose Parade. Now, I'm a huge Star Wars fan already at this point. So I see this picture and I just go nuts. Because little kid me has no concept that this is volunteer work. So I'm assuming like, oh my God, there's the people out there who get paid to just dress like stormtroopers and walk out into these events.
That's too good to be true. Maybe not if you work at Disney.
Disney properties, yes.
Yeah.
But I immediately was hooked. My mom found the website for me, and that became like my love affair for all throughout my childhood. Like anytime I wanted to just waste time on the internet, I would go on the 501st website and just be like staring like fixedly at the entire costume reference library and just like looking at all the little details and just thinking, oh my God, this is so cool. People actually do this,
Yes.
So it always stayed with me as a goal to join eventually.
That's got to be interesting, because you have so many Star Wars movies that you can watch where they wear these costumes, and yet choosing to look at the CRLs, choosing that instead, there's got to be something special about, about people making their own costumes and them not being like movie production stuff. So, I mean, you looked at the CRL for so long, it sounds like, and you ended up choosing Hask. Am I correct?
Gideon Hask. He is
Gideon
a
Hask.
member of Inferno Squad, which is like this special forces group within the Empire that they look like pilots, but that's just because they do a lot of different types of missions that take them up in space. Yeah.
So what made you, obviously that's from, for those of you who don't know, that's from Star Wars Battlefront 2. I think that was their first appearance. Maybe the Star Wars Battlefront 2 book. I don't know if that came out sooner. But have you read that one? That one's actually good.
I have not actually.
I recommend it.
I know it's good.
Yeah, the Battlefront 1 book kind of lost me, but the Battlefront 2 book, it was good because especially Star Wars books, you don't really expect them to be good because they're licensed and all that, but it's worth the read. So what made you want to go Hask over anything else?
I think it was a combination of two things. One, as a kid, for whatever reason, I became very into the pilots watching the movies, like the Imperial pilots. I always loved their very sleek, like almost black stormtrooper armor-like design. When I was a kid, I was one, you know how so many different kids at events will call Imperial pilots Darth Vader. I always knew it was not Darth Vader. I thought the Imperial pilots were Vader's sidekicks as a kid.
They kind of were. And there was wingmen,
They come off as it in the first movie.
Yeah.
And so from then on, I just always loved the design. And then when Battlefront 2 came out, that was even better for me. 'Cause I was like, oh my God, you took the Imperial pilot design and just added a few little things like the red stripes and the little bit more detail on the armor. And it was like, oh, that just made it so much cooler, for me at least. And then around the time that I finally decided to come to the 501st and make a costume, it just seemed the most practical outfit for me to make in my skill set, and one that also still looked really cool to me, and then one that I could be proud of.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what was the process of, like, did you make that armor yourself, or did you end up buying it from somebody? Or I mean, obviously if you make it yourself you have to buy the kit, so was it finished, or like what was the deal with that? And if you made it yourself, what went into learning that whole process for people out there who are maybe thinking of joining but the thought is intimidating?
I guess I want to start by saying anyone who's interested in joining, it's not as complicated as you'd think. There are a lot of costumes out there that are a lot easier than what I did and what many of us do. There are, the unarmored pilots, which is a popular first costume.
Yeah, the Thai
There's other,
Reserve.
yeah, the Thai Reserve pilot. There's many costumes out there that really don't put you that out of your way to make. With that being said, I bought the jumpsuit, the gloves, and really I bought much of the armor, but in an unfinished state. It was like I believe the term is raw pieces.
Yeah, like a kit sort of.
Um, yes, and I just painted it essentially. I learned how to professionally spray paint things and brought it up to the 501st standard. It came in, I believe most troopers, they get their armor in almost like ABS plastic, so you have to put them together. I was very lucky to get a kit from Jim Trippin, who makes his armors in one big like plexiglass set.
Oh, really? I'd never heard of that.
Yeah, so when you get the helmet, it's just one big helmet that's already good for your head. Um, the
Yeah.
downside is that it's a lot heavier, but it is a lot easier to throw together.
And that helmet is big by default, I think, because it's like a combination of a stormtrooper helmet and a rebel helmet, right? Like on top of each
Mhm.
other, almost like
It's
clipped
very
into each
roomy.
other. Yeah, I guess that must be a plus. My costume is Revan, so I kind of just wear a mask that is directly against my face. So people are like, "Why don't you put in fans?" And I'm like, "Because they'd be like digging into my skin. I don't have a choice." Do you have fans in yours or anything?
I put two fans and the right at the base where right where it meets like the front of your face, just so that it could blow up into the lenses of the helmet, so that it
Yeah,
won't fog up my sights.
that's a big one I hear is the lenses getting fogged, and that's pretty common on every costume, I think. I believe there's some sort of spray you can put on it, but maybe
There
not.
is. Pilots have it easy. I've heard from Vaders where they have to have as many as six fans in their helmet, which is
Yeah.
absolutely insane to me. I don't know how they could hear anything while they're doing that. But it just goes to show you that there's so much care and craft that goes into these costumes of ours.
No, absolutely. Especially you, it sounds like with all the time that you spent researching and then, actually making it. And you said you managed to like learn professional spray painting. I mean, like worst case scenario ever, you could work in an auto body shop or something. Like that's a skill that transfers over to other things. I'm sure as well. Like that's good to
I
know.
I don't want to say that I'm like I could pass an interview in a body shop or anything, but it certainly was I had never done anything like that before and had to watch so many videos.
I think you could probably pass it if you walked in with your armor on. They'd be like, this guy knows what he's doing. Like if he can do this, he can do cars.
They'll look at
Definitely.
that and be like, "You're in."
Exactly. All right. So you mostly do city troops, unless I'm mistaken. Is that
For the
correct?
most part, yes.
Yeah. So what kind of we've had a lot of people on the podcast. A lot of them talk about like Long Island troops and stuff, I think. So what are some city troops you maybe want to like shout out or that you've really liked this last year? We got stuff like Comic-Con, obviously, and the Lucasfilm events, but you know, are there any events that you really like in particular?
My motto when I joined the 501st is I wanted to do events that gave back. And my favorite troops have consistently been troops where I feel like I'm giving back to a community that needs us there. With that said, I always appreciate the hospital troops that we do, whether it's the NYU Langone
Yes.
troops, um, or the Ronald McDonald House troops. Those are big ones. I think those are some of the highest callings that you can do in our organization. Troops like that. Uh, Other troops that I just have a very soft spot for, the St. Albans Community Health Fair, and I think our next one of this is upcoming, the Fifth Avenue Fabulous Fair in Brooklyn. Those are, again, troops where the expectations are just you are the entertainment, you are showing up, you're in costume, and you're just interacting with the crowds and bringing joy and imagination to an event that is very local.
Yeah, I don't think I've signed up for those ones. You've convinced me. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna sign up.
They're
But
fantastic.
I've said before that my favorite troop, I think, is Ronald McDonald House, and I did this one 2 years ago. I don't think I've been able to be there since, and I wasn't able to do the most recent Cohen's troop. Although I really like that one too, because I spent some time in Cohen's when I was younger, and if like Darth Vader had walked into my room, I think I would have either been really excited or just passed out. I don't know if from fear or excitement, but it would have been. I think it would have been cool. Yeah, Ronald McDonald House was like a great opportunity. Those are some of the most rewarding troops for sure.
It's funny because it's funny that you say that. Um, I always feel like when I'm trooping with a Vader, that because of Vader is just such an intrinsically just terrifying character. This big 6 foot, like scary guy, this shadow on the wall, that many a times in troops, I will almost feel this need to be a little silly. Like not so
Yeah.
much that I'm causing a ruckus or anything, but I feel this sense of freedom to be like, oh, Vader's the straight man of the
Mhm.
of this comedy act of ours, and I can be the silly one.
Sure. I play peekaboo sometimes, is
Oh,
what
yeah,
I do
that's a good one
when
too.
the children start crying at me. That one's a good little hack because that one works like 9 out of 10 times, I would say.
Hmm.
Um, but no, you're absolutely right. Actually, a little tangent. I don't know. Have you ever played virtual reality?
I've spreckened, yeah.
So there's this one game called Vader Immortal. It's actually 3 games, but in
I've
it,
heard about it.
yes, it's great. And Darth Vader like walks up to you, and the first time he's walking up to you from like a dark corridor, it's all dark around you, and he's like right next to you. And I'm like, I don't know, I want to say I'm like 20 or 21 maybe when I played this. I was like, it's not real. It's not real. It's not real. You know, he's a horrifying character. I don't think that you really get that until you see him in real life sometimes.
In that moment, you're just like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah,
I get why they're all
exactly.
scared of him.
I understand why the Rogue One troopers were like, nope, you know, um, we're leaving, we're out. One question that I had for you that is a little bit unrelated to the 501st, but do you have a Star Wars hot take? I'll share mine if you want to share yours.
Star Wars hot take. I I have many. But for now, I'm going to choose the one that will lead to the most productive conversations. Uh,
Thank you.
I think my the Star Wars hot take I'm going to say here is I personally, A New Hope is my favorite Star Wars film. I know Empire Strikes Back is a popular one. A New Hope is my favorite and will probably always be my favorite. For a very specific reason that others have criticized. I think A New Hope has such fantastic covert world building in a way that no other Star Wars movie has touched since. Minutia. Like every little thing that goes on in that world is shown to you in steps. Like it's not enough that the Millennium Falcon is brought into the Death Star. You have to see, oh, the guys on the radio talking about the ship being brought in, and then you see the mechanics running down to the stairs to make sure the ship isn't blowing up. You see the stormtroopers panicking and officers ordering the stormtroopers around. You see Tarkin in his office hearing about it on the space telephone. You hear Darth Vader brooding about like, I guess I'd better get down there. And then they have a whole 20-second shot of them, of everyone outside of the Millennium Falcon just talking.
Yeah.
And you just hear sounds in the background of people talking to each other and ordering each other around. It's like no other Star Wars movie has that. At least not very much, not as much of it. And I've heard people criticize like in the past that, oh, it makes A New Hope kind of slow and boring. And I have the opposite opinion that I actually think it makes A New Hope such an engrossing film because it makes everything feel so real to you if you've never seen Star Wars before.
That's one I haven't heard before because so many people love A New Hope, but I've never heard anybody praise it from that perspective. That's really interesting. And I'd have to agree, especially because it kind of pioneered the almost like dirty space aesthetic, where before that in sci-fi, everything was clean and sleek. So that's an interesting one. And I'm glad. I mean, we're close to out of time, but I'm going to share mine because I promised I would. I can't go back on it. My
Absolutely.
hot take is that I don't like sand is a perfectly normal line, and it fits with an Anakin story of being from Tatooine. It foreshadows what's going to happen later in Attack of the Clones, and of course he doesn't like sand. He's a slave from
Mhm.
a sand world. So
It makes
I don't
it
know.
makes perfect sense. Yeah, it
It
does.
makes it makes perfect sense. I think it's a little bit weird to kind of drop when you're flirting with the senator. It seemed a little abrupt, but I think the line
Mhm.
itself makes sense. But
I
I'll,
mean,
I'll
what
concede.
what do you say when you are flirting with a senator?
Yeah,
That
well,
that
Anakin,
that begs the question.
I never really thought about that. I've never been in the scenario, but Anakin says a lot of weird, like he says, I don't know, what else does he says some weird things in the grass when they're sitting in the grass, I feel like. Um, well, he basically says that he thinks dictatorship would be better and then everyone should get
Yes.
together and just decide on things. And it's like, you know,
Well, and then there's that whole
Jedi
scene later where
education
he
is really
talks about
paying
like,
off.
there's that whole, isn't there that whole scene later where he's talking about, oh yeah, I murdered a whole tribe of men, women, and children back there. Oopsie daisy.
And
And
then she's
Padme
like,
is not immediately arresting him.
it's normal, we all have feelings, we all get angry sometimes, whatever. But yeah, no, it's a very goofy movie, Attack of the Clones, but I always like to throw that one in there. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sticking
Of
around.
course. Thank you
Is
for having me.
there anything else you'd like to throw out there? Can be a fun fact, I don't know, about yourself or like your socials or maybe anything, I don't know.
Um, I guess I can give advice to anyone who's planning to join or hoping to join. There is help for you at all levels. You can talk to anyone, any one of us in the Legion, and we're more than happy to provide advice. And it is worth it. I will say that. No matter how annoyed you get, no matter how much you wish the costume looked a certain way, no matter how long it takes, I guarantee you, once you are in that costume and you see that first kid just light up in imagination at your first troop, I guarantee you everything will have been worth it.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. I think a lot of people are focused on like building the costume so much and the process, but the outcome is like so great, focus on the outcome.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So thank you for staying on. Sorry about the little delay. But
Don't worry.
thank you, James, and thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you check out our Instagram, Facebook. There's probably a couple other socials as well. That'll be in the description. But unless you have anything else to say, that's all.
No, thank you so much, Liam.
All right. Empire City Transmissions signing out.